2025 is shaping up to be one of the best years in cinema that we've had in recent times. 2024 was a little bit disappointing for me, but I think 2025 could be one of the best years for cinema that we've had in a long time. These are the top 50 most anticipated films coming out in 2025. Coming in at number 50, we have Snow White, releasing in Australian cinemas on March 20 and March 21 in the US. Just a note for the rest of this video, the UK release dates I don't mention here, but they are normally pretty much the same as the US release. Directed by Mark Webb, a beautiful girl, Snow White, takes refuge in the forest in the house of 7 dwarves to hide from her stepmother, the Wicked Queen. I can't say that I'm exactly hype for this movie. Watching on with all the drama, it kind of feels like sitting at a footy game where everyone around you is so angry. Rachel Zegler's comments definitely didn't help the prospects of this movie, but I'm kind of curious to see how it actually turns out, because either way, it's gonna be big and it's gonna be talked about. Also, the dwarves CGI just looks so weird. I can't wait to see how wacky that looks in the final product. The musical element, I'm not quite sure about, and the whole hi-ho thing that you hear in the trailer kind of creeps me out a little bit. I don't really know why, but it's sort of weird. At number 49, we have Karate Kid Legends, releasing in Australia on May 29 and in the US on May 30. Directed by Jonathan Entwistle, after a family tragedy, kung fu prodigy Li Fong is uprooted from his home in Beijing and forced to move to New York City with his mother. Well guys, I haven't actually seen any of the Karate Kid movies, so I'm taking this as my sign to see one. The trailer has gained over 16 million views, so there's some big hype around this, and with Jackie Chan involved, sign me up, lads. At number 48, we have How to Train Your Dragon, releasing in Australia on June 12 and the US on June 13. Directed by Dean Dubois, on the rugged Isle of Berk, where Vikings and dragons have been bitter enemies for generations, Hiccup stands apart, defying centuries of tradition when he befriends Toothless, a feared Night Fury dragon. Look guys, well, I can't say that I'm exactly hype about this one either. I know a lot of people are. It's another one of these live-action remakes of an animated movie, which annoys me, but with that in mind, the design for Toothless actually looks good, so I'm kinda curious to see how this turns out. This could be big, but personally, I'm not too hopeful, because please, give us something original, man! None of these live-action remakes. Is it that hard to give us an original story? Please! For number 47, we have Lilo and Stitch, releasing in Australia on May 22nd and in the US on May 23. Directed by Dean Fleischer Camp, this is the wildly funny and touching story of a lonely Hawaiian girl and the fugitive alien who helps to mend her broken family. Well guys, you heard what I just said. I don't hold much excitement for these live action remakes that feel like cash grabs. But that being said, the animation for Stitch actually looks alright, but the whole humor of it, at least in the trailers, it just doesn't really come across for me. I guess it's meant to be wildly funny because he's just so funny and cute, guys. Look at that CGI animated guy. Isn't he so wildly funny? I can barely remember the original Lilo and Stitch, so I'm looking forward to watching those this year. For number 46, we have From the World of John Wick, Ballerina, releasing everywhere on June 6. From director Len Wiseman, taking place during the events of John Wick Chapter 3, Parabellum, Eve Macaro begins her training in the assassin traditions of the Ruska Roma. Look guys, Please don't shoot me, but I actually haven't seen any of the John Wick movies. But hey, that's gonna change this year because I'm planning to watch them all in the lead up to this, and I think it looks like it could be good. Ana de Armas as the lead, we love to see that. And of course, she's featured in pretty much every single one of my YouTube videos on the wall behind me. Right there. I'd be really interested to see if they make her a believable character with all the cool action stuff that she's doing in the trailer. But yeah, I do think overall, this looks pretty cool. For number 45, we have Wicked for Good, releasing everywhere on November 21, 2025. From director John M. Chu, with the wizard and the entirety of Oz framing her as wicked, Elphbaba's righteous crusade comes into conflict with Glinda's struggle for power. Again, guys, I'm a massive spud. I know I haven't seen Wicked yet. But the first one was so well received, so big, I just reckon that this is going to be big too, and for that reason, it's worth having it on this list. Number 44 is Smurfs. Releasing in Australian cinemas on July 10 and July 18 in the US. Directed by Chris Miller, this is an animated musical film focused on Peyo's iconic creations. Maybe it's just because I was a kid, and it probably is because their letterbox scores are terrible, but back in the day, I loved those two live-action Smurfs films. I thought they were so good. We only have the logo for this movie so far, no poster, no trailer, so I'll use clips from those older movies. I loved playing Smurfs Village on my iPod Touch back in like 2010 as well, so that's enough to get me hyped for this. The fact that it's a musical does make me a little bit suspicious, and also director Chris Miller was responsible for Shrek 3, which a lot of people don't like. So we'll see. If they can nail the animation style, write a funny script, it might be good. Number 43 is The Battle of Bacton Cross, releasing in cinemas everywhere on the 8th of August. From acclaimed director Paul Thomas Anderson, the plot is currently to be advised. Hot take, I haven't actually liked any of the PTA films that I've seen, but also at the same time, there's a bunch of classics made by him that I still haven't watched yet, so I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt for now. No trailer or official poster for this yet either, but such a big director working with Leonardo DiCaprio in the main role, you gotta turn up to see Leo on the big screen, so I'm keen for this. At number 42, we have Bonia, releasing in Australia on November 6 and in the US on November 7. From director Yorgos Lanthimos, two conspiracy-obsessed young men kidnap the high-powered CEO of a major company, convinced that she's an alien intent on destroying planet Earth. Although I loved Poor Things, I really disliked Kinds of Kindness, so I'm kind of mixed on Yorgos Lanthimos. But the plot for this film looks really interesting, and a sci-fi thriller with that cast? I'm down. No trailer or official poster for this yet, but if it's Yorgos trying to make a film with wider appeal like Poor Things, it could be really good. At number 41, we have Sinners, releasing in Australia on April 17 and in the US on April 18. From director Ryan Coogler, trying to leave their troubled lives behind, twin brothers return to their hometown to start again, only to discover that an even greater evil is waiting to welcome them back. I watched this trailer for the first time in IMAX, guys, and it looked awesome. It sounded awesome too. This is coming from the guy that directed Black Panther and Creed, and I reckon this looks like another step up. Some of the shots in this trailer look amazing. It's got a really eerie and creepy atmosphere. It seems a bit like a horror film, but also a thriller, and it's an original story too, and that is what we love to see. At number 40, we have Superman, releasing in Australian cinemas on June 10 and June 11 in the US. The start of the James Gunn DCU, and from director James Gunn, Superman, a cub reporter in Metropolis, embarks on a journey to reconcile his Kryptonian heritage with his human upbringing as Clark 10. Sorry to not be as hype on this one as everyone else is, guys. I haven't actually seen any Superman movie. He was never kind of my favorite hero, but I know I need to change that this year, so I'm gonna give all those original Superman movies, Man of Steel as well, a watch. I'm gonna check them out, and I'm gonna do my due research before this movie releases. This trailer got so much hype on the internet. Whether it's bad or good, this movie is gonna be huge just for how highly anticipated it is. It does have Nicholas Hoult, which makes me excited, and I am interested to see whether James Gunn can make an exciting and engaging DCU to rival the MCU. For number 39, we have Michael, releasing in cinemas everywhere on October 3, 2025. Directed by Antoine Fuqua, this is an in-depth portrayal of Michael Jackson, a complicated man who became the king of pop. The biopic will bring to life Jackson's most iconic performances as it gives an informed insight into the entertainer's artistic process and personal life. We really are in the era of musical biopics, aren't we? But this will probably be interesting. It's from Lionsgate Studios. It's actually starring Michael Jackson's real-life nephew, Jafar Jackson, which does add an extra element of intrigue, and it'll be really interesting to see how they handle the complicated aspects of Jackson's life. For number 38, we have F1, releasing in Australian cinemas on June 25 and June 27 in the US. Directed by Joseph Kosinski, racing legend Sonny Hayes is coaxed out of retirement to lead a struggling Formula One team and mentor a young, hotshot driver while chasing one more chance at glory. Guys, I've never been interested in F1, but this trailer makes me want to watch F1. This is one of the best trailers that I've seen in a long time. The way it lingers on that shot at the end, the camera work throughout just looks insane. It has a huge cast headlined by, of course, Brad Pitt. Here in Melbourne, the Grand Prix every year is becoming more and more popular. It's getting more trendy, so I think if this movie can capitalize on that, it could be really, really big. For number 37, we have Paddington in Peru. At the time of writing this video, it was due for release in Australia on January 1st. It's already been released in the UK since the 8th of November 2024, and it's due for release in the US on the 14th of February this year. Directed by Dougal Wilson, Paddington travels to Peru to visit his beloved Aunt Lucy, who now resides at the home for retired bears. With the Brown family in tow, a thrilling adventure ensues when a mystery plunges them into an unexpected journey through the Amazon rainforest and up to the mountain peaks of Peru. Another hot take, these movies are insanely overrated, and this movie was really bad. But heaps of people love Paddington, so I know a lot of people will be really keen to see this. It's not my cup of tea. I think it really overly romanticizes London, and it's just so cheesy. But again, a lot of people are probably keen for this. Coming in at number 36, we have Last Breath, releasing everywhere on the 28th of February. Directed by Alex Parkinson, this is a true story about seasoned deep-sea divers who battle the raging elements to rescue their crewmate trapped hundreds of feet below the ocean's surface. Woody Harrelson is a big favorite of mine, and this just looks like the kind of movie that's gonna be fun to watch and engaging because it's based on a real-life survival story, and they're always intense. This will be a good, intense, engaging watch in cinemas. At number 35, we have Friendship. This movie currently has an unknown 2025 release date, directed by Andrew DeYoung, when an errant delivery pulls suburban dad Craig Waterman into the orbit of his mysterious and charismatic new neighbor Austin Carmichael. A sweet bromance seems to blossom over an innocent evening of urban exploration, punk rock, and a mutual appreciation for Paleolithic antiquities. But what should have been the start of a beautiful friendship is soon waylaid as Craig's obsessive personality begins to alienate his new pal. We don't have a poster or a trailer for this, but look at Paul Rudd's hair. I'm down for that. It also kind of seems like the premise is a bit like Banshees of Inisherin, so I'm interested to see what their spin on that kind of story is. At number 34, we have The Amateur, releasing in Australia on April 10 and in the US on April 11. Directed by James Hawes after his life is turned upside down when his wife is killed in a London terrorist attack. A brilliant but introverted CIA decoder takes matters into his own hands when his supervisors refuse to take action. Rami Malek and Lawrence Fishburne, let's go. Casting looks absolutely on point for this. I love the idea of a nerdy guy turned into a hitman because of a quest for revenge. I think it's a great premise and the trailer looks really engaging with some fun action, and as well, I think it's cool how it seems a bit more grounded. You know, you see like Rami Malek reacting to how somebody would react to a giant explosion going off behind them. Yeah, I think this is going to use Rami Malek's talents really well. Coming in at number 33, we have Heart Eyes, releasing in cinemas everywhere on February 7, just in time for Valentine's Day. Directed by Josh Rubin, when the Heart Eyes killer strikes Seattle, a pair of co-workers pulling overtime on Valentine's Day are mistaken for a couple by the elusive couple-hunting killer. Now they must spend the most romantic night of the year running for their lives. Man, watching that one kill in these trailers, that genuinely gave me nightmares. Like, I know I got a lot of intense, gory dreams because of the violence that I see in the horror movies that I watch. And I'm left wondering as well, I don't even know if I can put that kill in this YouTube video. I mean, I'm not currently monetized, but if I was, would that demonetize the video? But it's also in a mainstream trailer, so I'm not sure. But man, it's so brutal. Look, I don't know if this movie is actually going to be good, but it looks like a bit of good fun, especially to watch with your partner close to Valentine's Day. The concept of a killer who just goes after couples is a clever idea. At number 32, we have The Electric State, releasing everywhere on Netflix on March 14. Directed by the much acclaimed Russo brothers, in a retro-futuristic past, orphan teenager Michelle travels the American West with an eccentric drifter and a sweet but mysterious robot in search of her younger brother. Look, I'm curious about this one. Anything from the Russo brothers is bound to be big and talked about. The cast here is pretty huge with Millie Bobby Brown, Chris Pratt, Ke Huy Quan, Stanley Tucci, Anthony Mackie, and Woody Harrelson. But on the other hand, I don't think I'm really sold on Millie Bobby Brown here. It seems like they're going for a really emotional and heartfelt tone. I'm not sure it quite works in this trailer. It comes across as a bit cheesy to me. But at the same time, the world building looks really interesting. I love sci-fi, and it'll be on Netflix, so a lot of people are going to see this one. For number 31, we have Warfare, which is being released in the US by A24 in 2025, but we don't have a specific release date announced as of yet. Directed by Ray Mendoza and Alex Garland. Yep, you heard me right. He hasn't fully retired. Let's go. A platoon of American Navy SEALs in the home of an Iraqi family overwatches the movement of US troops through insurgent territory. The trailer looks really intense and well made. Anything with Alex Garland involvement after his rap sheet, I'm here for. I just hope we actually get a chance to watch it in Australian cinemas. For number 30, we have Opus, which is due for release in US cinemas on the 14th of March, but I can't find anything about its release date in Australia, which has me worried it may be significantly delayed here. Directed by Mark Anthony Green, a young writer is invited to the remote compound of a legendary pop star who mysteriously disappeared 30 years ago. We don't have a trailer or a poster for this, but we have a still, and I just think the premise alone, along with John Malkovich starring, just makes me hyped for this movie. And of course, I gotta mention, it's an A24 film. I know that doesn't automatically make it good, but any A24 movie always just adds an extra layer of interest for me because I know that it's probably gonna be pretty original. For number 29, we have Presents, releasing in Australian cinemas on February 6 and January 24 in the US. From director Steven Soderbergh, a family moves into a suburban house and becomes convinced they're not alone. So basically, this whole movie looks like it's shown from the POV perspective of a ghost. This could end up just being really gimmicky, or it could be good. Soderbergh is a really established director and has done a range of different movies, so it'll be really interesting to see what he comes out with here, and if it could be another really memorable horror movie. Coming in at number 28, we have A Big, Bold, Beautiful Journey, releasing in Australia on May 8th and in the US on May 9th. From director Kugonda, this is an imaginative tale of two strangers and the extraordinary emotional journey that connects them. We don't have a trailer or a poster for this, but man, I really loved Kugonda's last film, After Yang. And that's enough for me to be hype about whatever his next project is. Highly recommend that you check out After Yang before this if you have a chance. It's just so unique and special. And Colin Farrell and Margot Robbie starring in this? Are you kidding me? Let's go, what a cast. At number 27, we have The Legend of Ochi, which is due for release in US cinemas on the 28th of February, but again, I can't find anything about its release date in Australia, which has me worried it might be significantly delayed here. Directed by Isaiah Saxon, in a remote northern village, a young girl, Yuri, is raised to never go outside after dark and to fear the reclusive forest creatures known as the Ochi. I've heard people say that this kind of looks like an AI generated movie, and I kind of see what they mean, but I think the aesthetic here looks really cool. The trailer and premise alone just look really creative, and the visuals seem very interesting. It's an A24 release too, so you know it's going to be unique, and that's enough to get me hyped to watch it. At number 26, we have Wolfman, releasing in Australia on January 16 and in the US on January 17. From Australian director Lee Wannell, with his marriage fraying, Blake persuades his wife Charlotte to take a break from the city and visit his remote childhood home in rural Oregon. As they arrive at the farmhouse in the dead of night, they're attacked by an unseen animal and barricade themselves inside the home as the creature prowls the perimeter. Let's go! We love to see an Australian director here. Come on! His last two films were really great, especially Upgrade. The way he creatively uses the camera to create unique action scenes is so enjoyable to watch in cinema. To be honest, Wolfman looks a lot more cheesy than his last two movies, but I love this bloke's work, so I'm keen to go and watch this one in cinemas. At number 25, we have Novacane, releasing in Australian cinemas on March 13 and March 14 in the US. Directed by both Dan Burke and Robert Olsen, when the girl of his dreams is kidnapped, everyman Nate turns his inability to feel pain into an unexpected strength in his fight to get her back. This genuinely looks really funny, guys, like actually funny. I am pumped for this. Judging by the trailer, they look like they're using the whole can't feel pain thing to its full potential. This looks bonkers, but yeah, really funny as well. It seems like it's really heavily inspired by Kick-Ass, The Amateur, which I talked about before, and also Nobody. There's this weird thing going on right now where it seems like the studios have identified that they think audiences want to see these sort of misfit characters or characters that don't exactly fit the mold turn into action heroes. But you know what? I'm actually down for it, and the slate of those that we have on offer this year, I'm actually excited for. At number 24, we have Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, releasing in Australia on May 22 and in the US on May 23. Directed by Christopher McQuarrie, After escaping a calamitous train crash, Ethan realizes the entity is stashed aboard an old Russian submarine, but a foe from his past named Gabrielle is also on the trail. Again, guys, I hope you haven't lost respect for me throughout this video, but let's be real, you probably have. I haven't watched all the Mission Impossible movies. I think I've only seen one of them, but that is gonna change in 2025. I remember loving Ghost Protocol when I watched it in cinemas for my 11th birthday, and any movie in this franchise with Tom Cruise as the leading man, I think that's something to get excited for. For number 23, we have Conclave, which came out in the US all the way back in October 2024, but has now been released in Australia since January 5, 2025. Directed by Edward Berger, after the unexpected death of the Pope, Cardinal Lawrence is tasked with managing the covert and ancient ritual of electing a new one. I've just heard growing positive sentiment and good chatter about this movie, and I love Ralph Fiennes. I've heard it's more like an old school classic thriller, and I'm so keen for that. Man, I really need to get to cinemas and go and watch this. For number 22, we have Tron Aries, which is due for release in Australia on October 9 and the US on October 10. Directed by Joachim Ronning, a highly sophisticated program called Aries is sent from the digital world into the real world on a dangerous mission, marking humankind's first encounter with AI beings. Man, I love the Tron movie from 2010. I used to play the game version of it on my laptop back in high school all the time. Yeah, I can't wait to rewatch that, but I'm interested to see how Jared Leto goes here as the leading man, but you know, it might be good. We don't have a trailer yet, but I'm sure there'll be one soon. For number 21, we have Thunderbolts, releasing in Australian cinemas on May 1st and in the US on May 2nd. Directed by Jake Schreier, an irreverent team-up featuring depressed assassin Yelena Belova alongside the MCU's least anticipated band of misfits. Straight off the bat, I cannot believe how much they are ripping off the This Is the End poster, but I'll give it to them. It's a good design, and this is another good poster, but it is very, very derivative. Overall, I can't say I'm a huge fan of Yelena or Red Guardian. I find them pretty cringeworthy, but I'm really interested to see what they do with the concept here. The trailers look interesting, it's MCU, and so you know it's going to be talked about. Coming in at number 20, we have Ilio, releasing in Australian cinemas on June 12 and in the US on June 13. This movie actually has 3 directors. Ilio, a space fanatic with an active imagination, finds himself on a cosmic misadventure where he must form new bonds with eccentric alien life forms, navigate a crisis of intergalactic proportions, and somehow discover who he is truly meant to be. Normally, call me a Grinch, but I'm not really taken with kids' movies anymore, but this trailer, it really grabbed me. I love the science fiction concept. I think it looks like a lot of genuine, heartfelt fun. Could this be a Pixar return to form? At number 19, we have The Monkey, releasing in Australia on the 20th of February and in the US on the 21st. From director Osgood Perkins, when twin brothers Hal and Bill discover their father's old monkey toy in the attic, a series of gruesome deaths start occurring all around them. From the guy that directed Longlegs, based on a short story by Stephen King and starring Elijah frickin' Wood. Do I need to sell you on this anymore? Trailer just looks awesome. Seems like a dark comedy horror vibe, which I think is gonna be great. At number 18, we have Predator Badlands, due for release in Australian cinemas on November 6th and in the US on November 7th, taking the slot when Blade was meant to release. RIP.
There's only been one Blade. There's only ever gonna be one Blade.
From director Dan Trachtenberg, this is a new installment in the Predator franchise. The premise is to be advised, but it's said to be set sometime in the future. For so long, I wishfully believed rumors that this was going to be a Predator movie set in the trenches in World War I, but sadly that's not true. But at the same time, Prey was such a great movie, and I think Dan Trachtenberg has a great track record as a director, so I'm still really keen for this, and you should be too. At number 17, we have We Live in Time. Now, I know this has been out in the US for ages, like since October, but here we've got to wait all the way until January 23 for it to get a wide release. Directed by John Crowley, an up-and-coming chef and a recent divorcee find their lives forever changed when a chance encounter brings them together in a decade-spanning, deeply moving romance. You all would have heard a bunch about this movie. Andrew Garfield and Florence Pugh in the 2 lead roles. That is a huge casting, and that's enough to sell me on it. For number 16, we have Companion, releasing in Australia on January 30 and in the USA on January 31. Directed by Drew Hancock after being invited to a weekend trip at her new beau's lakeside estate, Iris uncovers a terrible secret. 2025, the year of Jack Quaid. 2 leading roles for the big man. Let's go. This looks like a dark comedy version of Ex Machina, and from the creators of Barbarian, a movie that I absolutely loved. Let's go! For number 15, we have The Brutalist. Once again, this is a movie that the rest of the world has gotten to see in cinemas since about December 20, but in Australia, we have to wait for it until January 23. Directed by Brady Corbet, this is basically about an architect who migrates to America to escape post-war Europe and rebuild his life. Even though it's over 3.5 hours long, I've heard a lot of good things about this, so I can't wait to see it. Cinematography looks excellent, really well put together trailer, and a great marketing campaign. Cannot believe that the budget was a minuscule $9.6 million. For number 14, we have Captain America: Brave New World, releasing in Australian cinemas on February 13, and in the US on Valentine's Day. Directed by Julius Onah, after meeting with newly elected US President Thaddeus Ross, Sam finds himself in the middle of an international incident. He must discover the reason behind a nefarious global plot before the true mastermind has the entire world seeing red. I'm really interested to see whether this movie is bold enough from Marvel to actually make any kind of comment on the new Trump presidency, or maybe it's coincidentally going to be a bit relevant. Look, I think it was made before that, so it probably won't be. But the trailer kind of looks like it might, so yeah, I'm interested to see this. The second trailer for this actually looks half decent. I'm hopeful that we could actually get another good MCU movie with this. Captain America movies are always going to be big, even if they don't feature Steve Rogers. Coming in at number 13, we have Death of a Unicorn. This doesn't currently have an official release date, although it's been slated for release in early 2025. Directed by Alex Schaffman, Elliot and his daughter Riley accidentally hit and kill a unicorn while en route to a weekend work retreat, where Elliot's billionaire boss seeks to exploit the creature's miraculous curative properties. You can check out my full trailer reaction to this movie in the card above. Another A24 movie with a huge cast with Jenna Ortega, Paul Rudd, Will Poulter, and Richard Grant. This looks really fun. At number 12, we have Mother Mary, which doesn't have a release date yet, but filming wrapped last year, so it looks like it should be out in 2025. From director David Lowery, this is an epic pop melodrama following a fictional musician and her relationship with an iconic fashion designer. Look, I can't say the premise exactly gets me excited, but I love David Lowery's The Green Knight and A Ghost Story. Also, the pictures that have been released from this with Anne Hathaway, she looks absolutely stunning. So I can't wait to see what David Lowery comes out with next. At number 11, we have Wake Up Dead Man, a Knives Out story, which also doesn't have a confirmed release date, but it's expected to come out on Netflix sometime in 2025. Once again, from your boy Ryan Johnson, Benoit Blanc returns in his most dangerous case yet. No trailer or poster for this one yet, but I'm loving the little series that this has turned into. Kaylee Spenny on screen with Daniel Craig and Josh O'Connor. I am so keen for this. It's coming to Netflix, so everyone is going to be talking about this when it's out. Now guys, get so hyped because we're entering the top 10. These movies look like they're going to be absolute crackers, and a big reason why I think 2025 is going to be a huge year for cinema. Coming in at number 10, we have Star Trek Section 31, releasing on Paramount Plus exclusively on January 24. Directed by Olatunde Osunsanmi, Emperor Philippa Georgiou joins a secret division of Starfleet tasked with protecting the United Federation of Planets and faces the sins of her past. Okay, this film looks terrible, and it should not be known as Star Trek. It makes me so sad to see the way that Star Trek has gone under Alex Kurtzman. I really liked his work on the reboot trilogy, but other than that, it has been completely ruined. I'm watching this one with an extreme morbid curiosity. I should be excited about a new Star Trek movie, but instead, I'm dreading it. So yeah, it's made the top 10 because of how, negatively anticipating this, watching a massive accident about to happen and you can't, take your eyes off it. That kind of hype is there for me with this film, so make sure you tune into my review of this movie because it's gonna be savage. For number 9, we have LoveHurz, which is releasing in Australian cinemas on February 6 and in the US on February 7. Directed by Jonathan Eusebio, a realtor is pulled back into the life he left behind after his former partner in crime resurfaces with an ominous message. Ke Huy Quan, what a legend. I'm so happy that he's finally getting the roles and the prestige that he deserves. Again, it's crazy. This is another film that looks so heavily inspired by Nobody from back in 2021. It's about a slightly reluctant, kind of misfit hitman turning into sort of an action hero once again. Bro, we got 4 of these this year, but still, it looks like a lot of fun. For number 8, we have Fantastic Four: First Steps, which is releasing in Australian cinemas on July 24th and in the US on July 25. Directed by Matt Shakman against the vibrant backdrop of a 1960s-inspired retro-futuristic world, Marvel's first family is forced to balance their roles as heroes with the strength of their family bond while defending Earth from a ravenous space god called Galactus and his enigmatic herald, Silver Surfer. There's a billion fake trailers for this on YouTube. I don't know why we haven't got an actual trailer yet, but yeah, I'll use some clips from the original movies just for this little section. Everyone's hyped for this, guys, including me. Pedro Pascal in the lead role of Mr. Fantastic. Let's go. Can't wait to see how they incorporate these guys into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and I reckon the whole 60s vibe of this is gonna be sick. For number 7, we have Avatar: Fire and Ash, which is scheduled for worldwide release on December 19. From director James Cameron, in the wake of the devastating war against the RDA and the loss of their eldest son, Jake Sully and Neytiri face a new threat on Pandora: the Ash People, a violent and power-hungry Na'vi tribe led by the ruthless Varang. Jake's family must fight for their survival and the future of Pandora in a conflict that pushes them to their emotional and physical limits. Considering how long we had to wait between Avatar and Avatar 2, it feels like an absolute luxury that we only had to wait 3 years for this. These films are always great to watch in cinema. I don't think any of them will ever stand up to how good the first one was, but anything from James Cameron, I'm excited. At number 6, we have a Minecraft movie releasing in Australian cinemas on April 3 and US cinemas on April 4. From director Jared Hess, no relation to me here at Hessflix, 4 misfits find themselves struggling with ordinary problems when they're suddenly pulled through a mysterious portal into the overworld, a bizarre cubic wonderland that thrives on imagination. Oh man, after that first trailer dropped, I thought this was gonna be so bad. But they really kind of turned things around with that second trailer. I'm genuinely interested to see how this turns out now. I don't think it's gonna be a masterpiece, but I now think it might actually be a bit of fun and not a complete cringe fest. Plus, seeing this in IMAX, that's gonna be funny. At number 5, we have 28 Years Later, releasing in Australia on June 19 and in the US on June 20. From director Danny Boyle, it's been almost 3 decades since the Rage virus escaped a biological weapons laboratory, and now, still in a ruthlessly enforced quarantine, some have found ways to exist amidst the infected. I haven't seen the other movies in this series. Yes, I know I'm an idiot, but I am so keen for this. This trailer was masterful in building the hype, and also, this whole thing was shot on iPhone. That's crazy. I love seeing Aaron Taylor-Johnson's rise to the top this past year, Ray Fiennes, yes please, and I love Jodie Comer after a role in The Last Duel. And Danny Boyle, what a director. I love his movies. Except for yesterday. I don't know what the frick was going on there. At number 4, we have Mickey 17, releasing in Australia on March 6 and in the US on March 7. From director Bong Joon-ho, Mickey Barnes has found himself in the extraordinary circumstance of working for an employer who demands the ultimate commitment to the job: to die for a living. Bong Joon-ho, another legendary director, 2025 just keeps getting better and better, and Robert Pattinson's starring with multiple Robert Pattinsons. Let's go! Trailer for this looks so fun, actually gave me a laugh out loud. You can check out my trailer reaction in the card above for my full thoughts on this movie. For number 3, we have a complete unknown. Once again, all you lucky guys in the US have been able to watch this since Christmas. I'm so jealous of you because we have to wait for this one in Australia until January 23. It's not fair. It's not fair. From director James Mangold, an enigmatic 19-year-old from Minnesota arrives in the West Village with his guitar and revolutionary talent, destined to change the course of American music. The amount of restraint that I have shown to only listen to 2 songs from this soundtrack on Spotify, the amount of restraint. I can't believe they made us wait this long in Australia. It is cruel. For number 2, we have Nosferatu. This was another case of us Australians having to wait again. It came out on Boxing Day in the US, but we had to wait until January 1st. From director Robert Eggers, a gothic tale of obsession between a haunted young woman and the terrifying vampire infatuated with her, causing untold horror in its wake. As of recording this video, I did actually get a chance to go and watch this in cinemas. I raced to the cinemas on January 1, and I've got to say, guys, it well and truly deserves a spot this high on the list. It was great. You can hear some of my thoughts on the movie as well as my analysis if you check out my latest video, which was my Robert Eggers filmography ranked. And coming in at number 1, we have Nobody 2, which is coming out in Australian cinemas on the 14th of August and in the US on the 15th. Directed by Timo Giajanto. We don't have a plot for this one yet, but it's the sequel to the 2021 film Nobody. 2021. The good old days. I love this movie. And I love Bob Odenkirk. All of these other copycat movies popping up now, Bob Odenkirk did it first. The action being so brutal and what feels like more realistic, the rise of a suburban dad back to being a hitman, Bob Odenkirk doing nearly all of the stunts himself, the original film just captured the frustration of everyday life for me, and it felt so satisfying to watch someone tear all that down. Such great humor and action. I am so pumped to see more of that. So guys, if you've stuck with me through this long video until now, thank you. If you want to see me cover as many of these movies as I can on this channel in 2025, please consider subscribing or leaving a like. It all really means a lot. It helps me keep doing this and it helps the channel. In 2025, we have big directors coming out with their next project. We have new original stories and ideas in movies that look like they're going to be so good. We've also got big established IPs coming out with their next highly anticipated movie. All of that is going to combine, I think, to make 2025 potentially one of the best years for cinema that we have had in a long time. I'm so freaking hyped. I hope you are too. I hope this video provided you with a little bit of value. Let me know in the comments what you're most hyped for in 2025, and I'll see you guys in the next one. And in this year, let's go!